One thing that you'll see a lot throughout this course in the Android code are generic array lists. And I'm not sure if you covered that in Java 1 or not. Generics is a big topic. The very beginning, the basic generic stuff is pretty easy to understand, but it can get to be pretty complicated. And like I said, I'm not sure if you covered it in Java 1. I'm just going to show you the real simple parts of it, all you need to really know right now. And this is actually going to tie into our discussion of interfaces, which is going to be coming up pretty soon here too. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new project here. I'm going to do new Java project, and I'm going to call it generic array list. Just like that, and I'll hit finish here. And then the first thing I'm going to do is create my app driver class. So I'll right click on the source directory and do new class, and I call them app driver. And I think, you know what, I think we'll just stick with this class. I don't think we'll need to make any other classes for this segment. So I checked this box here so that it would create the main method for me. And like always, I always just get rid of this comment right away in that main method stub. And I want to show you a problem that existed before generics came about. I think generics were introduced in Java 1.5 if I'm not mistaken, or maybe 1.4, but they weren't always available. So I'm going to create a new array list here, and I'm going to call it my dates. So it's going to hold a bunch of dates. Equals, whoops, new array list. Okay, so Eclipse is showing an error because I need to import array lists. So I can either do the Control-Shift-O trick that I showed you in a previous segment, or I can just hover over it and do import array list here. Now, the problem with this array list is that you can put anything in it. I made this to contain dates, so I'm going to do my dates, and I'm going to add, and I'll put a new date in there. Okay, so that's fine, no problem. And actually right here, I need to import dates too, so I'm going to hover over that. And now this goes back to what we talked about packages. There's two classes called date that are available, and Eclipse doesn't know which one we're talking about. So right here, there's the util, java.util date, and then there's the java.sql date. So we need to specify by our import statement. So I just chose the java.util date, and there's my I've got one item. I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste this code a few times. So right now I have my dates as an array list of 3 dates. Here's the problem. What if for some reason somebody adds something that's not a date? My dates add, oops, the IntelliSense is messing with me a little bit. I'm going to add a string. Hello there. All right, this is wrong, but there is no error anywhere. I could run this app just fine and it would run. But the problem is that if we ever needed to access those items in the array list, we'd run into a problem. So for example, let's say I loop through the array list for int x equals 0, x is less than my dates dot size x plus plus. And if you don't know what this syntax is, then you should probably go back and take Java 1 before you take this class, because it's just a basic for loop. So let's say I want to use this loop to get all my dates. So if I go, the way to do that would be, I'm going to go date, let's just call this d equals my dates dot what is it, get the index at X. You know, Eclipse is complaining a little bit because it's saying that I should cast this to date, because right now I think the way the array list works is it stores everything as an object, the mother of all classes. So to satisfy the compiler, I'll convert that to a date. Does anybody see the problem here? There's no errors anywhere. If I ran this code, it would run just fine at this point. But the problem is we're expecting this array list to be full of dates, and there's a string in there as well, but there's no error, no compile error anywhere to tell me that something could go wrong. All right, so if I were to go, what's a method of a date object? Date.getTime right here. And I'm going to put a system, I'm going to wrap that inside a system print line. Okay, still no errors anywhere, but what's going to happen when I run this code? Oh, system.out.println. All right, we're going to get the worst kind of error imaginable, a runtime error right here. So I'm going to go ahead and run this. Oh, I need to save that first. Now look down here. There's an error. My app won't even run. What we want are compile time errors if we're going to have any errors, because that way we'll know. I mean, I could go ahead and compile this app and send it to my friend and tell him to use it, and then he'll find the error and I won't know about it. What we want to do is you know, find out the errors at compile time. So to get around this problem of storing any old object inside of an array list is to use a generic array list. So what I'm going to do here, for now, I will, well, I'll just leave everything the way it is right now. But and now the term generic seems a little bit strange, because generic makes you think that you can just throw anything in there, or at least it does to me. But by creating a true generic array list, what we're doing is specifying the type that has to be in it. So I'm going to say that this can only accept date objects. And to specify the type, that's what you do here, these angle brackets and the data type that can fit in there. Now I'll see what happened. Now I have a compile time error right here. Eclipse caught it. Previously this line didn't have an error on it, but now the error is, and by the way, this is the line where we're trying to add a string to our collection of dates. But it's saying the method add date and the type array list date is not applicable for the argument of string. So the argument that we passed to this add method was not a date, it was a string. Okay, so we want the compile error. We don't want a runtime error. So I just wanted to show that to you. And like I said, this will lead into our discussion of interfaces that we'll be having shortly here.